wanted to be a mom from the time I was a little girl, but I didn't plan on being a single mom. One problem with being a single mom is, seems there's never enough time or money. But when I first separated, I talked to God, I prayed through tears, and I told the Lord I didn't want any other husband but him. And I also prayed and asked God to help me get a really good job. I told him, I need a man's job. I need something that's going to pay well enough that I can support my children. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what my life is like right now. And like a typical day, I usually get up at 6 a.m. because I like to have about an hour to get ready, and we have to leave the house by 7 usually, so I can drop Deanna or Regina off at school, and then I have to be at work by 7:30. We clock in, we go out and check our trucks, we pick up our extra mail, we start casing our mail, and we do that for about 2 hours in the morning. Then we pull the mail down in order, load it into trays, put the trays into a gurney, roll the gurney out, and load our mail truck. One thing I like about my job, actually there's several things I like, but the first one I'll tell you is I like that we have to be orderly, and we have to prioritize, we have to remember what's important, and I have to remember to load my mail in order so that which I'm going to deliver first is going to be right to the outside of the truck where I can reach it. And so this helps me also in my personal life. Not that I am so orderly at home because I'm pretty messy, but actually it helps me so that I think of what's most important first. And that isn't always keeping everything perfectly clean, but I have to remember what I have to do. So the most important thing is what I have to get done. And another thing I like is that I focus on just one thing at a time, just doing one thing. This helps me, especially when it's difficult delivering the mail, especially if it's like pouring rain. And, you know, it's so burdensome to be delivering mail in that situation, but because I'm focusing on just doing one thing at a time, I just focus on getting through that street, getting through that block, and then once I'm done with that, I start focusing on the next street. And I just keep going like that until finally I've made it through the whole day. And God has used that understanding for me to help me get through many other trials in my life as well, you know, just to think about one thing at a time. And I also enjoy the people I work with. We're kind of like a family, and several of us eat lunch together. We do our own little potluck, and we're many cultures in the post office, so you know we sample many varieties of foods, and it's only about 6 of us that do this though. And something that kind of bothers me, I mean it's difficult to really have a relationship and get to know people in the post office. You have to make an effort to do it, and it could be this way in any workplace because you're being paid to work. You're not being paid to have this long conversation. And you know, so I feel in my life at work and also at home sometimes that time is so limited that the only thing I can say to someone is like what is appropriate for that moment. So I feel like our life goes by, and I call it sound bites. It's like little things that you might say to this person or that person, and I feel as long as I can say something that's appropriate for the moment and positive or encouraging or whatever, that's the best I can do. But I can't always have a long conversation or get to know each other. But we are getting to know each other since I've been with the post office for about 4 years, and since I have started eating lunch with them, and occasionally we get together for little things outside of work. So I feel that the relationships are developing and that it is an opportunity to be able in the future to witness to someone about Christ. And I think that Pastor Burmy has said so often that people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And how can they know that you care if you don't really get to know them, you know? So that's what encourages me to get to know people a little more. And I also enjoy my customers. Some of them have become good friends. And that, I also have to watch my time. I can't have a long conversation, but 2-3 minutes at the most. And then I also appreciate my job because it provides support for my family. And I just want to tell you that God is the best husband and father, and here's why. Because, through all of our trials and struggles, I've seen Lori, my oldest daughter Lauren, she's here tonight. I've seen her make it through college and basic training and officer training in the Navy. I've seen Larry come back to God and come back to church and really serve God with his whole heart and playing guitar and going on missions. And I've seen Deanna go from being totally focused on gymnastics and her goals and competitiveness to totally obsessed about serving God with her talents. And I've seen Regina become focused on getting a really good education and becoming so much more mature in her thoughts. And Dean loves magic tricks, and he's 11. He's the same age that Deanna was when we first came to New Life, and many of you may remember us when we first came. So we don't know what the future holds, only God knows, but I just know that he has been faithful so far in leading us and guiding us, and that he always hears our cries for help. That's why I trust God, and this is my life.
Amen.